Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Patrick Arnold. I'm one of the co-founders of Strive Africa, and I'm really glad you're here today for our study break. We're glad to welcome our in-person audience, but if you're listening to a recorded version, we're excited for us to be able to share information with you as well. So we're going to cover a couple things during this short 30-minute study break session. First, we're going to talk about Strive Africa, the mission and vision. We'll talk about our target audience, who we're trying to target with our programs and what we do. We'll talk about our products and services and our goal for study breaks in general and what we hope they do for our larger community. Then we'll talk about a main topic. Each week we'll have a specific topic that we'll go through. Today we'll be talking about college research and college selection. And then from there, we'll have any audience questions if folks want to share. And then if we have a prompt or agenda for the next one, we'll share it out at the end. So welcome to our first study break. And I'm really happy to be able to share this new initiative for Strive Africa. So we are a US-based education consultancy organization. We are led by myself and a co-founder, Charlie Harcourt. Both of us have more than 10 years of experience helping international students get accepted, get into great schools, and get good financial aid offers for leading universities and colleges all across the United States. So really excited about helping students in the early stages of their journey find out how they can be prepared, how they can excel, and how they can be strivers in terms of their education process and eventually their career goals. Our vision is to create the largest pool of talented young African students who are working to attain higher education in the United States. So we want to help them in every way possible. And we have a bunch of different products and services that we can offer folks. Our target audience is generally students who can pay for some of their tuition. We know US university tuition is quite expensive. It can range from $50,000 to $60,000 per year. We have partnerships with US universities and colleges, which enable us to get qualified students really substantial scholarships. Unfortunately, full ride scholarships are very, very rare. We want to find the right people to help along in their journey. So if you're looking for a full ride scholarship, we're probably not able to offer a lot of substantial help. But if you can afford to pay partial tuition at US universities, we can help you get into good schools. We can help you get higher financial aid offers, and we can help maximize that process for you. So what we want to do for Strive Africa, for our products and services, we have a couple that we're offering for students from across Africa. And we're targeting high school students thinking about undergraduate abroad. We're thinking about supporting university students who are interested in perhaps master's degrees or maybe repeating and having a BA from a US university. So we want to help people through all parts of the process. The biggest thing that we're interested in doing is trying to build a large community. So we are building invitation-only WhatsApp and Facebook groups so that you can ask us questions, our team of experts questions. You can ask your peers what tips and strategies have worked out well for them. We'll also have a weekly email that we'll be sending out to our list of subscribers. And the weekly email is going to be a way for people to better understand some of the most helpful tips for maximizing the process. There's lots of information that we can share about how to research schools, how to select the best fit, how to put your best application forward. We'll be sharing those in our weekly emails, and the only way to get access to those is to sign up for our email list. We'll also have an artificial intelligence advisor access, AI intelligence advisor that we've trained on our skill sets and our database of questions that people have asked us that gets better and more targeted. It's specifically trained and targeted for college applicants from Africa specifically. We'll also have 45-minute consulting sessions where people, if they want a specific question answered or they want advice on a specific part of the application process, you can contract with us. For just a 45-minute session, we'll dive deep into what's challenging for you and help solve some problems. We'll also have a 3-month bridge program college advising session, just a targeted 3-month program to maximize your college selection and research process. We'll have different opportunities to connect you with our partner schools in the United States. And so we can hopefully fast track some admissions processes and give you tips on applying to specific schools that are excited about hosting African students. We'll also have a 1-year bridge program. And this is the most exciting thing that we're offering young African students. It's a 1-year program that'll start in July of 2024. So it's just coming up in a few months. And the goal of this program is to prepare the students through the whole year for both the college application process and to be able to excel on campus when they arrive there the following year. So we'll have course content on college research, college selection, maximizing your financial aid, putting your best foot forward on your college essays, growing your leadership skills to put yourself at the top of the pile as a future leader through community service and community engagement in your home communities before you even apply to universities. We'll also work on writing skills and study skills, all the things that you need to do to be a successful applicant and a successful student in the US. This is a pretty exclusive program that we're really excited to offer for small cohorts who will have deep and undivided attention from faculty. All have master's degrees or greater. Some will have PhDs, and they will all have teaching experience working with young students to get them into US universities. So the Bridge program is really a great opportunity to go from one level of your college application prospects to a much higher level in a short amount of time. And it's our commitment to really help people get into better schools and get higher financial aid offers based upon the results that they can show within a year. So we have lots to offer young students from Africa, and we're really excited about the opportunity to engage with you and really help catalyze your academic and career trajectory. And on that note, what we wanted to do in our study break session today is talk about 2 specific things. So the first thing is to talk about how to think about your research process and your application timeline and college selection process. So the thing that is really important for us as we share for folks is that students should really think about a lot of different factors when they are selecting a college. And so there's a couple of different things that we recommend students think about. So we want to fit into 2 different categories. One is we want to balance academic reputation versus personal fit in a college selection. And so academic reputation is relatively straightforward. So we look at the rankings of the school, we look at the overall reputation, whether it's Stanford or Harvard or Columbia, or maybe a little bit less selective. There's a whole set of resources, the US College News Report, the Princeton Review. There's so many different resources for weighing the academic reputation of the institution. In your home country, you might have students and family members who advocate for a particular type of college, and that's totally fine. But you also want to think about what are the types of courses that are offered there. So for example, you have the opportunity to make sure that you have a really good fit for your college selection process. So you can think about fit in terms of the location. You can think about it in terms of a big city versus a small city. You can think about the weather. Some people might be very interested in experiencing winter and having lots of snow and ice. Other people might not want that at all. The culture is very different from place to place in the United States. So the Northeast is known as a city maybe of fast talkers and fast-paced life, whereas the South and the West might be a little bit slower. And especially big cities might be a fast-paced life, whereas small cities and small towns might be very You might also think about the size of the school as well. So small schools have a more deliberate way of building community, where you might know the majority of people who are at your grade level, and you might have deeper, more connected experiences with your professors. Whereas much larger schools that are 20 or 30,000 or even bigger, it might feel a little bit harder to build your community and your connections. But you might also have a lot more resources. Oftentimes, big schools, because they have a lot of students and a lot of tuition revenue, they have more resources to offer, and they might have more research opportunities. The facilities might be better. So these are all the things to think about in addition to the academic reputation. Because you want to find something where something feels good, both in terms of the academics, but also because of the way that you are thinking about your day-to-day life. And your day-to-day life is very important, because as you're thinking about how you're spending your time and your money, you want to think about what is most important to you. And sometimes the best way to find this out is to not only do your online research, your Google research, your social media research, but to try to talk to students as well. Particularly, it would be great if you could talk to students from Africa or from your home country specifically about what type of experience they've had as an international student, because it's going to be a little bit different than the average American who maybe drove there or have family who have gone to that school. For you, this is going to be a different experience. And so you want to make sure that you're getting your best knowledge possible. So the three pillars really to think about is sort of actually four pillars. One is the sites and the books that review colleges, the Princeton Review, the U.S. News Report. But you should also look at the college websites as well. You should look at the majors. You should look at the pictures. You should look at the testimonials and watch the videos. Try to get as much information you can from the college website. And then finally, next, you should think about social media. You should check out the official social media channels, but you can maybe find other students who are posting on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, and so on. And you can get a sense of their authentic stories, and they're just sharing their experience as it is without maybe a filter. So you can get maybe a more honest honest assessment of this the program as well, and the university as well. But you can also try to find students who you can build a relationship with, and you can ask those questions. And so those four pillars are really, really helpful for doing your college research and your college selection. Students often ask about what they can do to make sure that they are effectively making sure that they are narrowing down their list. And it starts with a wide variety of different potential options, but you can't apply to 20 or 30 schools very effectively. So you need to narrow that down. And so the way to narrow down your college list is to make a list of the criteria that are most important to you. And you think about the criteria as being divided into a couple of different categories. So we talked about academic reputation. So academic reputation is one of it. Next on the list, you might have the majors that are offered. So you might be thinking about the things that you want to study and making sure the college offers it. You think about the location, if you're looking at big city versus small city. You're thinking about the climate. You're thinking about something that's more urban versus and has a very urban feel to it, or a more distinct rural campus where everything that you experience on the college is kind of centered around that campus. You can think about students who have a colleges that have a high population of international students. And so some of them might have that, some of them might not. You can think of colleges that have students from your home country and maybe strong relationships. And then you can think about the finances as well. You can think about some students are very interested in maybe kind of going for as much money as possible, and others are thinking about the best fit as possible. So you might go to a college if your maximum financial aid school, or you might go to a college which is your best fit and maybe has a good balance of financial aid. And so those are all different criteria that you can use to compare colleges. So we always suggest that students create some sort of database using a spreadsheet. So you can list all your colleges, you can list kind of the pros and cons of each one, and you can look at the average financial aid, and you can look at the average tuition, and you can look at all the different criteria. And then you can start to think about what are the ones in which you could imagine yourself? What are the ones that you feel like would be a good fit for you as a unique person? Because that's a little bit different from person to person. We also recommend that students give themselves a very long time to do this process. It's really hard to do this process in just a few weeks or a few months. Here in the US, students tend to spend several years thinking about the process. They start it usually when they're 16 in their junior year of high school, and they start the process of visiting colleges in their junior year. And by the time they get to senior year, they have a small list of colleges that they're going to apply to, and they're working very hard on their application because there's a lot of different component parts to it, and they want to make sure that they are perfecting it through the process. So a big thing as you're doing your research and your selection is not to rush it, to start early. And so we're just at the start of 2024 right now, but we're actually starting to work with students who are interested in fall U.S. fall enrollment 2025. So really about an 18-month process to think about. So it's never too early to start, and it definitely can feel like it's a little bit late if you're starting on the late side of it. But those are all things that you'll learn as you're going through the process. We get a lot of students who also ask for advice on what they should do if they don't know what they want to study yet, right? Part of going to college is exploring academic and professional interest. And some students know exactly what they want to study from the very beginning. They might want to study computer science, or they might want to study something related to healthcare, or maybe something related to finance or accounting. But not everybody knows that, and that's totally fine. It's just important to have some idea of your trajectory and some idea that the college that you apply to will have those programs that you might be interested in. If you're applying to a really small school with limited number of programs, you might be in a little bit of a tough spot if those programs don't really align with your interest in your needs. So it's important to think if you're a little bit unfocused, you might want to go to school where there's a lot of different options. But if you are very focused, you might want to go to school that has those particular options, whether it's small or large. And the thing that is really important to note as well is that there's often flexibility for changing your major or changing the courses that you focus on throughout the time that you are at your school. You'll meet new people, you'll have provocative, interesting professors, you'll take classes that you love, you'll take classes that you struggle in, and that's all part of the process. And there might not be necessarily a linear path from you to being an accountant or you to being a finance professional, but you might take some zigs and zags, and that's totally fine as well. Students from Africa are often worried about the cost of finding both a good fit and a reasonable cost. And that's a really big and ongoing concern. With college costing upwards of $50,000 to $60,000 US dollars, that can be really, really daunting for students from Africa. We have some partner universities where students, as long as they meet the academic qualifications, can often receive more than half off on tuition, and they just have to pay maybe $10,000 per year for tuition and maybe $15,000 for room and board. And so that typically runs around $25,000. Those tend to be the most competitive opportunities for our community members. And although that sounds like a lot, there's definitely some financing offers in people's home communities, especially for grad school. But there's no way to sugarcoat it. Studying in the US is an investment for sure, and it's a significant investment. in order to embark on this journey, you should definitely have some conversations with your family members, with your parents. You should look at income and possibilities for them. It's really difficult if students are expecting that they need a full ride scholarship to attend school in the United States. The reality is many schools in the US have these, but they're very, very rare. So it's like finding a winning lottery ticket somewhere. It's possible it'll happen, but it's not likely. And so the big thing with college research and college selection is to try to be honest with yourself and honest with your parents and honest with the process of kind of trying to understand where you are relative to what colleges are opening to. If you're one of the top students in your country and you might be eligible for a full ride scholarship, we definitely want to support you and we want to encourage you and move you along in that process. But the reality is the top is the top. There's just a few people that can be there. So for all of us regular people, we just have to try to maximize our situation as best we can, and that's just the reality for the majority of people, and that's totally fine. So we can be honest about our financial capabilities, and that's a really important part of the process as well. Future study break sessions will talk about some of the financial constraints and the process for understanding what you can afford and what colleges will think you'll afford. There's a whole methodology through that, through a profile called the CSS profile. It's a lot of financial details. We'll dig into that in a future session. But for now, it's good to have a better realistic understanding of what you can afford or not afford. It's something we don't want people to spend a whole year of their life preparing for something that's not realistic or just such a long shot. It's unlikely to happen. And that's what we try to do with students is have uh, real candid conversations to better understand where they are and what the best pathway might be for them. But that was a lot of information. We'll share this out as a summary for everybody on our list. We'll have a summary of this and we'll put the video up on YouTube. For now, we've got a couple folks here. If you wanted to ask any questions, you can ask them in the chat here and I'll try to answer them. Feel free to ask any question you have about the college enrollment, admissions process, anything that's interesting or confusing to you. Add it to the chat and we'll close out with a minute or two of questions and then we'll see everybody next week for the next study break. So we'll be doing this as a year an annual program. We'll be running at least for the next year and we'll every week on Wednesday evening in Africa, we'll have these. So if you want to jump out of your studies and get some hands-on insight into your college process, feel free to join us for future ones. But for now, and if there's any questions, add them to chat. Otherwise, we'll close in just a moment. All right, looks like we don't have any questions from the group today, but thanks for joining. We'll throw this up on our YouTube and share out the summary with our mailing list. Thanks for joining our first studies break, and we will talk to you all soon. Thanks, everybody.